I've just been hearing rumors that Cloud9's been slumping. They've been having a rough in scrims, and some of their players aren't playing too good. So
I'm joined by Ayla after, man, a very long series. How are you feeling right after those games?
I the first reaction I have is I'm so fucking tired. Like we had a long ass pause into game 5, and obviously game 5 is stressful. So yeah, pretty tired, but happy we won.
Yeah, that was something that they were talking about during the pause. It was like Dignitas are full of veterans who've been through all these pauses. 100 Thieves might not have the ability or the experience to really like focus on, or should you be relaxing? Like I saw a sniper like trying to get someone to do a massage. I have no idea what he was trying to do. Like, what were you guys thinking during that long pause?
I mean, I think we were chilling. Everyone's pretty relaxed. The vibes were good. And honestly, when we're on the side, because I was having troubles, right? But when you're on the side that's having troubles, at least you know what's going on. Like when you're on the other side, right, it keeps you in the dark, or they like say like one or two sentences like, "Oh, there's just tech issues," or "the monitor's broken" or some shit. But when you're on the other side, it's actually pretty chill because you know exactly what's going on and you're just sitting there chilling. And honestly, I was pretty happy with how we handled that game 5. I don't think any of us were nervous, and we handled the pressure well.
I'll get to that winning moment, but I got to start from the beginning of the series. If you just took like draft and gameplay of game one and game five, you'd be like, these are two different teams on two different patches with two different priorities. Like we saw the Nasus, we were seeing like a Mumu, was basically first pick worthy at some point. Like it was such a different game starting off and like adapting your gameplay. We saw one game where you guys lane swapped. Like, what was the prep for this series? Because it felt like really, I mean, you guys have played what, two series before this? You guys just have very different priorities this series compared to your other two.
Yeah, I think going into the series, we expected the center prior, so it wasn't surprised when they picked it a lot. The Nasus was surprising for us. I mean, as you saw, we banned it the rest of the games. But honestly, I don't think besides game 1 draft, we were too surprised by anything else. We just expected Dig to put up more of the battle, and they did. And honestly, I think we played or we should have won a lot of games that we threw. Like I think in that series, the amount of 4v5s we took were kind of crazy. They just straight up 4v5s where one of our solo lanes is just in Narnia. And I think that happened a few times where we just threw games that we shouldn't have through. But besides that, it was all right.
Were those nerves? Because you pointed to my next question, which was like, man, some of those games you guys definitely could have won, and it felt like you could see the pressure on you guys. Game four, where you're like, oh, we're fighting for our lives. So was it nerves, or what was it from your perspective?
Uh, Not sure if you'd call it nerves. It definitely happens in scrims as well, where like a lot of the times we're disconnected. So like 4 people on the team are like, "Yo, let's fight, let's fight, let's fight," and then one person's not saying anything, and he's just like farming bot lane, or he's like very far away from the fight. And honestly, it's just a weakness of ours. But we've been working really hard to try to fix it, and I think everyone knows that we're doing it and like it's kind of griefing the game. So wouldn't call it nerves, just a habit of ours.
Your bot lane duo Tomo, I can only imagine how much more happy he is this time beating Dig. The first time they beat Dig, I told him like, how does that feel? I was like, oh, this is a little too easy. I would have preferred a challenge. I was like, so you would have preferred like a back and forth 3-2? He's like, maybe like an okay 3-1. He got his 3-2. Like, how much of this was did you feel like it was personal for Tomo? Or was it like when all the pressure comes down, I can imagine like all that kind of goes into the backlights and you're focused on the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom is pretty chill about it. He doesn't like make a big deal. But I think as a team, no one no one wanted to go to game 5. We had this chat before, and we're like, the 3-0 was too easy, so we do want them to put more of a fight, but no one wants it to be 3-2. Like we wanted a 3-1, and then unfortunately we're actually down 1-2. So like, oh, guess it's game 5. And yeah, unfortunate, but we had to go the distance.
And I really want to get into your psyche because you're very open about it. How do you feel going back into the draft meeting? and obviously choosing blue side again in game four after being down 1-2, like you said, after kind of messing up some of those games, like what are the emotions going through?
To be honest, after game three, I was pretty pissed off. I think game three we had Jarvan. I was a big hater. Like what we picked Jarvan on four, and we knew they were gonna pick Kalista. So we had Kalista center, and Kalista has a dash against Jarvan, and Kalista can ult center away. So Jarvan has like no targets. Smolder has E, and then the other two were like tanks. So actually, I was pretty pissed, but I was confident in our blue side draft. I think the coaches were prepared. We talked about it, and going into game four, we knew I knew we would have a good draft.
All right, I do want to ask just because they're eliminated, so I don't think this is giving anything away. But oh, the question just escaped my mind. All right, moving on. That was random. Yeah, you win game five. You're exhausted. What do you just like? How do you prepare for Cloud Nine? It feels like you put all your heart and soul into this one game, and all of a sudden you have to, come back and recharge and retool. What does that look like behind the scenes?
I'm not too worried about it. We have tomorrow break, and then the day after is immediately Cloud9. So basically no break at all. But I mean, it's not that bad. I think tomorrow the coaches already have told us we're gonna review our games, watch TL Fly. That'll be a banger, and just sort through draft and prepare for them, and just take the rest of the day to relax. And honestly, I don't mind it too much. I came from academy in NA where there was like a bunch of best of fives. I think one time in my last year we had like three best of fives in a row, like
Oh,
day
was
by
that the
day by day.
TL Academy year? The
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. So honestly, I prefer it. I think when you do well and you win a series, if you go to scrims, that week of scrims will kind of determine how you feel going into the next week. So honestly, rather than taking the chance of like we have rough scrims or whatever, we lose our momentum, just go to the next series and be ready for Cloud9. So I'm pretty happy about it.
All right, I remembered what I was going to ask. They banned Azir games 4 and 5. You guys lost with Azir game 3, and it didn't seem like it was doing too much. Like the Smolder was fine into it, and they decided, hey, we don't want him playing. Was that surprising to you that they decided to stick with that ban?
Um, no, not too surprising. I think both teams pride Azir a lot, and if they weren't gonna like, we have high pride on Azir, they have higher prize on Azir, and they didn't want to give it to us. So it was not too surprising. I think we expected it going into drafts.
All right, Quid
Right.
definitely felt like he stepped up. He was drawing the Azir bans. He was drawing the what's it called? The Yone ban. So it was fascinating to see like the draft adaptation and then the play adaptation. And I do want to ask a little bit about lane swaps. We saw one game where there was a lane swap, and even then it wasn't like it wasn't too long. I think it lasted for just the first three levels, maybe level four. I think it was only to level three. Is it like draft dependent? Is that why you guys go for lane swaps? Like it seemed like you were doing it in the same games. What was the call to go for these lane swaps?
Yeah, I think depends on the team. So they lane swapped on us. I think they wanted to punish Vola pick. They played the lane swap sequence pretty bad. We ended up getting I think two or three plates to zero, and overall XP wise, our top laner was slightly up. So we basically just got plates for free in a losing matchup. So we were pretty happy with the swap. But I think in general, teams lane swap, especially when there's a top lane carry. So like if teams pick Gwen, Kennen, or like Camille, like always hard to chat, even Olaf, and then the other side has a tank, it's almost always good to lane swap because even if you are trading plates, putting both top laners behind is beneficial to the tank. So that's a lot of the reasons why people lane swap, and then the other reason would be if you have a pretty hard losing bot lane. So maybe they play Kalista Ash, but nowadays no one does that. But if they would, then almost every team would lane swap, and it gets you get past the early three levels, and then when you come back to lane, even though they got plates, you weren't punished at all. You didn't lose any CS, and that allows for a bot lane to be like much easier to play.
All right, thank you for the explanation. You guys are facing Cloud9. They're Everyone's saying like they were probably the second best team. They obviously dropped the ball to FlyQuest. They're a behemoth of a team to take on. They're very good in the early game. Their mid to late game is fine. Some fighting words from you. Before that matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been hearing rumors that Cloud9's been slumping. They've been having a rough in scrims, and some of their players aren't playing too good. So honestly, I'm pretty confident going into it. I think we've got things down pat, and we'll be ready for them.
All right, I love it. I got a thumbnail title right there. I appreciate it, man. Congrats on the win, and good luck making World. Now that was a fun, interesting series. That was, I mean, the pause kind of sucked, but man, those were some banger games. Those were some banger games. I do think that Tomo can be very, very happy after this game versus the first time they beat them. Yeah, the idea of 100 Thieves beating C9, uh, it seems a little difficult, but hey, if rumors are true and C9 is slumping and their players aren't playing well, maybe JoJo's not having the greatest, day. Quid seem like if he gets his champions, he can perform well. I'm just saying there's a world. I'm not saying I believe in it. I know I have a lot of Cloud9 fans. I'm not saying I believe in the 100 Thieves miracle run because I don't, but there are some signs. So, yeah, I will be debating this on disputing everything tomorrow after Team Liquid FlyQuest, which should be an amazing set of games. I also have a Sven interview that I don't know if I did a good job, but I think it was a better loser interview job than I normally. Wait, loser interview. Yeah, I did a better job in that loser interview compared to most ones that I do. I didn't talk too much about the games. I tried to talk more about Sven's career and whatnot, and like how he feels. Um, but yeah, that's loser interviews are hard, man. I'm gonna need a lot of experience doing them. But I remember just like sitting down thinking, like, man, I don't even know what to ask because the questions that I want to ask maybe he doesn't want answered, and so I had to think of like what else would I want to ask if I had the opportunity to sit down with him 3 days after or like a week after, and that's the approach that I took. It's like, okay, now looking back at it after it's been a week, kind of moved on, that kind of thing. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you didn't, let me know. Also, the Ayla interview was fun.